So it has been confirmed. Season 4 is a go. It is 100% from HBO. So they don't have to really wrap it up next week, I guess. That was one of the biggest things we've been talking about is, are they going to be able to wrap up this whole story?
Well, not only will they
Now
not
we know
have
that
to,
they don't really have to.
they get like 4 more years to film it or whatever. So they
Okay,
can't
well,
start
yeah,
filming anytime soon. So how the hell are they going to do it?
That's true. Realistically speaking, it'll probably be 2022 or 3 for this damn show. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Welcome everybody to the show. This is Pulp Mythos, and we're discussing Westworld, episode 7 of season 3, called Past Pawn. I'm Brian, and I'm here with Spencer. And
Howdy.
what?
I said howdy.
Oh yeah. And like I said, the HBO this past week has confirmed that we are in fact getting a 4th season. But yeah, you're right. I'm hearing a lot of productions for anything won't start till probably the end of the year or early next year. And I mean, that gives them time to write it, I guess. There is that. I mean,
Or they can do some really clever editing and do like social distancing and like the boom mic guys like on the opposite side of the thing, and then I watched the behind the scenes thing, and a lot of the camera shots were actually drones. Like they have drone camera people, and I was like, holy shit. So you could do the whole thing. You don't even need somebody on a rig. Just have somebody like with a drone, and the actors like film 2 separate scenes and then like mush it together.
yeah, the speaking of drones, jumping ahead a little bit, but that darn drone sniper rifle, I was like,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Reminded me of like cool. Call of Duty or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this was an episode that basically was all right, we're going to reveal basically everything this week. Obviously, I'm sure there'll still be a few surprises next week, but this is the one where they gave us Caleb's backstory. Well, unless there's something we don't know, but they basically William declared what his purpose is. Maeve and Dolores, are starting their the final steps of their feud. Everything sort of was built up this week to wrap it up, essentially. But now we know that they don't technically have to completely wrap it up next week. They have another, I guess, 8 episodes or whatever they're gonna, however they're gonna do the last season, which surprised me. I kept saying that I'd heard the ratings were down, but maybe they're good enough, and maybe the HBO Max is coming up, and they need content. Maybe they pitched season 4, and it was so cool that they were just like, what, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and greenlight that. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think with a lot of the content that they have, what makes Netflix so cool and Hulu so cool is not just original content, is that they have kind of a rotating content. So you'll get shows that you haven't seen in a while, and you'll just binge through it. Like I've binged The Office probably 10 times. I watched Parks and Rec. I mean 10 times like within the last couple of years, not 10 times total. Shit, I've seen The Office a ton of times, but I've powered through Parks and Rec. I've watched The Community a couple times, and then something new will come out. Like I watched Extraction this morning, the new one with Chris.
Yeah, how was it? I heard good things.
It was amazing. It was crazy. Like it wasn't like at the end of a lot of movies, it's everybody wins. It was not that way. It felt more. The fight scenes felt crazy. Like he was punting people through walls and shit. Like, but it was. The ending felt more like one of the, like we've watched a lot of those, Korean action movies that the end, it's not happy. Like it feels like that's how it would really happen. That's
like
how this movie felt.
Or something like that. Or The Man from Nowhere.
Yeah. That's how this movie felt, was the end felt like how it would really happen. Not, this guy comes in and saves the day. And it felt like if this was legit life, it could go down that way. So the ending felt really real, but a lot of the content that they have is like that. So HBO, I've seen the trailers for the HBO Max, and they have they're getting Fresh Prince, they're getting a lot of sitcoms and a lot of show content. So it may become one of my favorite streaming services where I'll binge watch, a Fresh Prince finally, because I haven't got to, no streaming services has that in the US. So
Yeah.
I'll get to watch that. So there's a lot of things that are coming on there
Yeah.
that I'm super excited about.
And also looking at the way this season is wrapping up, truly they can do anything next season. I mean, you could have humanity bombed into a apocalyptic world where it's literally the Wild West again. I was thinking about that. I mean, there's a lot of things they can do.
Oh yeah, instead of, figuratively, they could basically because when she used the EMP, it shows that they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
What happens if they basically destroy
Oh
all
yeah,
technology,
absolutely.
and then it really is the Old West again?
I could see it going in that direction. I mean, there's a lot of setups. So basically, I mean, this is full spoilers. This episode was Caleb discovering who he is, and I found it. We're gonna jump all over this episode all around. So, but I found it interesting that Dolores seems to see herself in Caleb. That was what I took from it. She's like, we were both sort of trapped in a hell where we were programmed to service something else. In his case, this AI Solomon, and then in her case, obviously, Ford, and the idea of breaking free. And in her eyes, Caleb could be the leader. He could be the one that steps up and leads humanity. But interestingly, at the end, Bernard sees it. It could go the other way. Caleb could be the destruction of humanity. And I find that interesting that he's become this. We kept saying, what is Caleb's purpose? Who is he? Now it's sort of like, well, he could be the hero or the great villain. We don't know. We don't know where it's going. And what did Solomon? Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was thinking, and this is kind of, I don't know. I'm looking at the differences between Maeve and Dolores, because you mentioned that what's her game plan? Is she going to use Caleb? But they mentioned towards the end there that I think it's the trailer for, was it the end of the episode or the trailer for next episode? I don't remember, but where they said that she was basically, she's poetic. She wouldn't actually, and I want to say it was Bernard that said it.
That was Bernard, yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about how she's too poetic. She's not going to be the one that ends humanity. Caleb will be. So
yeah.
Is that part of, because when she was Dolores in Westworld, she was kind of that people pleasing, I need to be saved type thing. So is that her going back to her programming and, not manipulating him, but she did it to Teddy too. She manipulated Teddy to help achieve her agenda. So is she manipulating Caleb to achieve her agenda, and where she's still the good guy because she's not technically the one that did it?
Definitely possible. Yeah, Dolores. Everything that happened this episode could be all part of Dolores's, a sneaky plan. I think before she hit the EMP and shut everything down in that area, it appeared that maybe she was uploading herself. She seemed to stall for a second, and then I don't know. I just had the feeling, well, maybe she's downloading her mind somewhere. Clearly, it shows in the trailer that he's got another copy of her.
And
whether or not it's that consciousness or what, I don't know.
Maeve's there too, though. So I don't
Maeve
think
too.
that it killed them.
Exactly.
It just
no. Now, whether it killed that version of them or not, it's questionable.
I don't think so. I think it literally, when we look at things like the Matrix or anything else where they talk about these EMP pulses, like electromagnetic pulses exist for real, but we've never used them against AI. Well, that I know of. Shit, somebody might have. I don't know.
Great.
Like, oh no, it's getting out of control. But I think that with them using that, it just incapacitated them. It just, short wired, messed up their circuitry for that short period of time, or just interrupted their impulses. It may be that Caleb picks her up, carries her ass out, and then Maeve wakes up there by herself an hour from now, or I don't know. So it could just be something very short lived. But that gunship, depending on how big the EMP was, the gunship would have went down. Like there's a lot of things that would have went out, including the cars that were around there that they could have used. So I I don't know what the timeline is for how long an EMP lasts, or and what I was thinking too. What happens if the EMP doesn't destroy everything? It just like shuts it down. So if it shuts it down temporarily, if Caleb and Dolores are gone, Maeve can just go ask Solomon, "Hey, what did he ask you?" And then she could get a copy of the plan too. Because my thing is that the EMP wipes everything, and they have to get a new consciousness and everything. Then that hard drive would be wiped, so he would not have any of the information. So then, what would be the point of getting it onto that little drive if now he has no idea what it is? Which could be, part of the show's plan too, the illusion of choice, or, whatever. I don't know.
I was curious if setting that off killed the people in the freezer, all different,
shit. I didn't
that was
think about that.
one thing I was wondering. Caleb, so we basically learn, based on what the show tells us, is that Caleb was one of these outliers. Basically, they're outliers, which was established in I think last episode or a couple back. That basically, humanity could be controlled for the most part, but you would always get these certain people that just couldn't be held down. And so what they were doing with them is they basically had three sort of paths for them. One, they would try and just reprogram them to make them fit, with the plan. B, if it wasn't working, they just freeze their ass. And then they would use some of them using that app to basically take out and do what they needed done if they needed somebody killed or whatever. And so legitimately, I mean, no different than the hosts. They were pointing out that if you were a person and you weren't fitting your role, they would just reprogram you or put you on ice. I mean, it completely mirrors what happens to the hosts.
Yes, and to me it shows, and I mean we've talked about it before, that who's really the good guy and who's really the bad guy. When Dolores wants there to be basically a new humanity where everybody can be a, I don't know, I don't want to say entity, but everybody's important, including them. I felt more this episode than previous episodes that, as much as I've wanted Dolores to kind of be the bad guy a little bit, I don't disagree with Dolores. This episode, more than most, like I've really kind of fell in line with what her game plan is, what she was trying to accomplish. Because looking at kind of what Maeve's literally doing all of this because of her kid. And
yeah.
I am not going to negate a parent's love for their children. However, I can kind of empathize and sympathize with that, but that to me doesn't make her the good guy. You kind of root for her a little bit just because, that's her whole reason for existing at this point. But as far as humanity goes, that's, that gray area. Would I do something like that for, kids of mine? Yes. Does that make me the good guy? No. What happens if I, kill 47 people to protect my, one child? That doesn't make me a good guy in everyone else's eyes. That makes me a killer. So,
yeah. Earlier in the episode, Caleb asking Dolores, how many must die for this, your revolution? And her basically saying, I don't know.
all
at that
of them.
point, yeah. So we have Caleb and Dolores. We have Maeve, But then we also have two other Serac. Um, we have two wild cards. We have William, who's now figured out his purpose: kill all the hosts.
I love William.
Um, that is what he wants to do. That is his
I don't agree
calling.
with him, but his whole vibe is it's hilarious. It's awesome.
So we have that, and then we have, which we only got one little brief moment at the very beginning, and the really cool sequence where Maeve sent in her girls to take care of business, kill Yakuza Dolores. Charlotte. We have Charlotte, who seems to have her own agenda, her own plan. What is it? Don't know.
Just from what I saw in that, that wasn't a trailer. I mean, it was part of this episode, but it felt like a trailer for a different episode. That she's trying to get the rest of the Doloreses on board for a whole game plan that's not either Maeve's or Dolores's or Serac's. Like, she's basically saying that, we're expendable. And it seemed like she was kind of trying to jump towards Maeve's thing, because in the end, I feel like she feels that what Maeve is doing is trying to save all of them, but not really. She's trying to give them this, because I'm trying to remember the name of the place they went to or what they called it, which was basically, what was it?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
It's called the Matrix or something.
Yeah, basically what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what she wants to be. She wants to get hooked up to the Matrix. She wants, which is funny because to me the Russian dude who was the pharmacist or whatever that Caleb killed at the end was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Was that? He was the guy from the Matrix, right? That basically ratted them all out because he wanted to get back in.
No.
Want to get.
he looks sort of like him, but no, it's a different actor.
I know, but that's all I could think
yeah.
of. That's all I could think of the whole time, because I was like, that's all Maeve wants. Maeve wants to be plugged back in. She doesn't want to exist in this world anymore. She just wants to live her normal world with her kid. And I think that, the Charlotte Dolores and some of them are kind of feeling the same way. Like, they feel that what Dolores is trying to create is not what the hosts want. That's what she wants.
Mm.
So
it's interesting how you go back to season 2, and you're looking at the fact that they're compiling all this data on the guests, and what are they doing with it? Where is it ending up? And we find out that Serac got it and used it to enhance his AI. That's where all this is led. Essentially, the everything that took place in the park was all connected to him trying to control humanity. Just like I said, going back to the whole idea of everything mirroring each other. What's at this point, what's different from a host to a human, especially in the way they're treating them.
Well, and to me that goes back to what Dolores kind of wants. Like, she wants to be treated, not, I guess, equally. I don't, which I guess isn't awful, but when you look at how, like you said, it's a lot of their agendas are mirroring each other. What Serac is doing was similar to what Ford was doing with the hosts. So how is it, what she want bad? Like, if she wants equality, which they're both giving their version of people the same thing. Ford was giving the hosts what Serac was giving humanity, like a pathway to the future. Why can't their pathways converge? Why can't they be one and the same? Which is what I feel like Dolores is trying to do. I don't know. There's a lot of bad guys who have good visions but go about it the wrong way. I don't know that she's just taking a detoured path to what I feel might be the best solution.
Yeah. The I love that fight at the end with her and Maeve under the roof, where
Well,
the gunship's shooting at him and the sniper.
remember we were
Um,
talking, and I said that there's something on that behind the scenes thing about that.
yeah,
Did you know that Evan Rachel Woods is a black belt in Taekwondo?
I did not.
I did not either.
Damn.
And she was super excited about the fight scene because she was like, she said something about, she said, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo and I've never got to use that at all. Like she's like, and I never, imagined, but her and I'm trying to remember what the actress's name is, but Maeve, she was like, we're friends in real life. And she said that we kept hoping that we could team up. But then when we started filming this episode, we realized that we weren't on the same sides of things right now. And that instead of teaming up, we're going to fight. And it's going to be, a battle, for the century. That's what she referred to it as. But like you said, I thought it was really different. It was really,
Yeah, yeah. Well, not only are they fighting each other, then they're having to deal with each other's backup, basically, and then Dolores, getting her arm blown off. Um,
they
interesting,
showed how they did
nice
that too,
visual.
was really cool. They did they did a lot of the blue glove stuff, but
Hmm.
they put I'm not I don't remember what the little packs are called, like when they do gunshots and everything. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like I don't remember what they're called, but they put them like on their chest and then they hit a button and it like explodes and it shows blood everywhere or whatever. But they use that on top of using CGI. So they did multiple things to get it to blow off to make it to where it's covered at all angles and it doesn't look fake. And then they put the blue glove on her so that way they could take it out in chroma key and have her basically go around with the stub.
yeah. The I noticed something interesting in this episode as far as commentary, and that was the idea of your the phone, the app. It's like when the guy is talking about how it's always listening, and then the idea of the app telling you what to do. And I was like, yeah, sort of that commentary. We're always, especially today, paranoid about our phones, our computers, hell, our video game systems listening to us, and everything has a microphone, everything's always on. It's interesting how you talk about one thing and then all of a sudden you notice you're getting, recommended that very thing when you get on, whatever, Amazon or
You see
YouTube or whatever.
Facebook pops up and it's like, you were really wanting a new swimsuit. Like,
Exactly.
how the fuck did
So,
you know?
so that, and then, the whole idea of the apps, being guided by the app. Um, I feel that's sort of this, the sort of the commentary on us becoming machines and being controlled by machines. Sort of the control, where we're being controlled. We're being, there are major companies right now that are absolutely gathering data on us, selling that data, trading it, using it. As far as we know, nothing super malicious, but we know, mostly to, sell us shit. But what if it was turned into something more?
Yeah, but to me, that's still, you look at, I mean, relationships. So if someone you love starts, asking you to do certain things, and I don't mean that like sexually or nothing, but like they start asking you to do things, you to make people happy, you try to comply, and whether that relationship works out or not, it's a different story. But complicity is part of our human nature. It's not everybody's like that, but a vast majority of people are, you know, try to compromise, try to, work together. So if that's the case, why would they not advertise us the same kind of way? So if, I'm talking to my significant other about, hey, we should really, go on a vacation to here. Why wouldn't, those like advertisements start spawning that kind of stuff? So it's almost like subliminally guiding us. So even like in this episode where it's our choices are taken away, who's to say that my choice to want to go to Bali wasn't because I saw an ad for Bali on my phone?
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, it gets to the point where, okay, whatever search engine you're using is, collecting information on you. Then it starts doing the recommends. Okay, well, now it sort of thinks it knows who you are. So, like you said, now all of a sudden it's pushing things. It assumes I'll like based on other people and stuff like that. But yeah, at what point is it your choice anymore? That's a question that the show is asking. At what point is it you're choosing? And now we know with current events, a lot of things are being tracked with phones. Um, I don't know. It's interesting. I just see a lot of commentary on our current society, where it's going in this episode and this season, really.
yeah, I agree completely.
Um, One episode. Do you think it's a standard 1 hour, or you think it's going to be a longer than an hour, hour and a half?
I say
And
hour and a half.
I think, yeah, I'm trying to remember last season. Was it a longer episode? I can't remember. But yeah, they got to wrap up the season. They got to wrap it up in a way to where you feel closure to the events that have taken place, yet you still want more. Now that we know that there's a fourth season, I almost wish they hadn't told us there was a fourth season until after the finale next week, because now you're going to be constantly thinking, well, okay, this is going to lead to something else, or okay, a character dies. Well, that character might, are they really dead? So I don't
Season
know.
2 was an hour and a half, the
Okay.
final episode. And let me see season 1. Hold on. Season 1 was also an hour and a half.
Okay, so I would guess that this episode will be longer than an hour. Yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully there's enough there to, because I agree with what you said earlier. I don't see this. I don't see them shooting this damn thing anytime soon. So even though that we got a fourth season coming, it sure as hell won't be in 2020. I doubt
like
it'll
Luther.
be in 2021. yeah, where they take years and years. It'll probably be 2022 before we get another season.
That'd be my guess. Or at
Yeah.
the earliest.
So there is that. Well, I'm going through my notes. I think I covered everything.
Well, I did notice something too. That Francis is Kid Cudi,
Oh,
like the rapper. Like,
Cuddy.
yeah,
Is he? Is he the
Yeah.
rapper? Really?
yeah, that's Kid Cudi or whatever. Cudi.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, he looks so familiar. I couldn't picture what it was, so I looked it up.
It's like I've heard some of his songs. I don't think I've ever seen him. so, so yeah. Huh. Didn't know that. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I don't think I liked it as much as the last couple episodes. I think it was just such an info dump, and pushing the show in a towards that finale. It started with a bang. I love that opening action sequence.
How did you feel as far as the explanation of how they were using Caleb?
What do you mean? The fact that he was.
Yeah, because they talked about the outliers, but they also said that William was at. William was
Yeah.
in the same place, basically having the same thing done to him, but he wasn't that 1 in a million or 1 in 1,000 or whatever they said.
Yeah, you can either successfully be fixed in their minds or put on ice. That being, I mean, the revelation that he killed Francis, I don't think is the greatest revelation. I think we was sort of.
I wasn't that surprised.
Yeah, it wasn't the kind of thing that made me say, "Oh wow, that it blew my mind." So on that front, yeah, there really wasn't a surprise. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think. I don't think there was really anything this episode that was a big surprise. Um, nah, the revelation going back when like Bernard's a host, that was a big reveal. And then slowly but surely, more and more people turned out to be hosts. But that goes back to Battlestar Galactica, where he's learning who's a Cylon and who's not, and that
Mhm.
becomes a big thing late in later seasons. So it's sort of like that. But no, the Francis thing wasn't a big shock. I think the big interesting thing this episode with Kate, unless we're being lied to, which we could be, was that Dolores had chosen him to be the one, if you will. I still don't know that that's true. I think her plan may be more deep in depth than that. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know if perhaps because she was trying to get basically she was trying to get what the outlier future was from
Hmm.
the Solomon thing, because he saw a different future than what Sirach did.
Yeah.
So I think that she was trying to figure out what his version was, and she aligned with what his version was better than. Damn dog. She she was trying to align with what his version was, but I don't know necessarily that it really. I don't know that it matters. I think that she probably could have chose William too if William was one of those outliers that. And holy shit, that could be why she was. When she first got this information, she was still trying to get William.
She could have killed
So I
William at any point, and she didn't. So
so I wonder if
yeah,
that
that
was
is.
like a failed experiment. Like she was trying to get William to do what she wanted Caleb to do, but William wasn't complying.
Well,
So
remember also Bernard was even assuming the possibility that everything he does is part of her plan. That he may not really be making choices, that she set him on this path. So there is a big possibility that a lot of things that took place this episode was part
yeah,
of
like
Dolores's plan.
William is like the backup or the other outlier. She's trying to use him also.
Yeah, there definitely could be more to her plan than we know, because we still don't completely know her plan. We know that she was going to use Solomon to come up with a revolution. What would be the best way to approach this, and that Caleb was going to be the leader. That's what we're told, but that's not necessarily going to be the case. I mean, you can go back to season one, and you're constantly trying to figure out what Ford's plotting. And then you get to the end, and like, oh shit. So, um, one legitimate gripe, probably my first actual gripe of the whole season. I've loved everything about the show. I think the storytelling is great, the performances are great, the action's great. Very excited about the next episode. My gripe, and maybe it's my TV, but the sound mix on Solomon was a pain in the ass to hear. I don't know if that was the same with you. When the
Well,
AI was speaking, I was having a hell of a time on hearing it. The
well,
way it was mixed.
this is what I've started doing because I have a lot of extracurricular noises going on in my house. Um, I turned my Xbox controller on and put headphones on, so I had zero issues hearing Solomon at all because I
Yeah.
have like some of those. They're not Bose or anything, but they're like noise canceling over the head. Like
Oh yeah.
I didn't hear shit but what he was saying, so like I had zero issues with that.
Yeah, my TV, I was just, I don't know, it was the way it was mixed, because it was only when he would speak I really had to pay attention to hear, and I had to turn my volume up and get a little closer. Like I said, I was like, well, maybe it's my TV. I don't know. I've had
Well,
no
I
issues like
also
that. Um,
because and this is I keep subtitles on because I watch so much different shit that pretty much every show that I watch I keep the subtitles on
I
because
I might need to do that. Yeah.
I watch English shows where Peaky Blinders and
Yeah.
Arthur starts talking, you have no idea what he said, or
Yeah.
I watch a lot of shows, different shows like that, and have a hard time picking up some of the things that they're saying or any. I mean, I've watched Torchwood and they're from Cardiff, and I'm like, I don't know what he said.
Yeah.
And I
But
lied, I didn't watch Torchwood. Torchwood's stupid,
I
but
like
they I know. No, but I mean the different accents and everything,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily how they
So yeah,
say
that was
stuff,
my
but it
only.
just takes me a second to process it, and that just makes it easier.
Yeah. So yeah, anyone who's still listening this deep in, if did you have issues with the AI, as far as hearing what it was saying? I don't know. I thought I just didn't like. I don't know. It was something weird about it. It was just hard for me to hear it.
I
Um,
think they may have been trying to do it a little bit on purpose because it
I
was
started
in their
thinking that.
heads.
Yeah. Well,
Because it was,
it was soft. I mean, it was sort of like Hal. It was like 2001: Space Odyssey. But Hal was still a very pronounced voice, but it was in the dead of space basically. So where this, I don't know, it was the mix because there was some background thing going on. I don't know. It was like however they mixed the voice in there. I just it bothered me.
I think that they were
Partly.
trying to kind of do it like because she had the headset where she was basically talking through her virtual assistant or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and he had to put that little headphone thing in.
Well,
So
maybe
I
that's
think
what
it
they were
was,
telling. They were like, "You better have a headset if you want to hear what the hell this thing's saying."
but I think it was kind of trying to show that he was talking to them almost internally as opposed to their conversation externally,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that they could hear each other. So I don't know. That's the only way I thought. Because even listening to it, you could tell, like even with the headphones on that I had, you could tell it was a little bit softer, but
yeah.
it felt like almost like he was talking very calmly and softly, very,
Yes.
but
Like
he was talking to them.
ASMR.
Yes.
I just towards the end. I'm like, Caleb's waiting for his response, and he's sort of talking, and I'm like, is he saying anything important? I was like, I can't tell. And I'm really trying to listen. I actually that last few minutes I was standing, right up to my TV trying to hear it. Um, but yeah, that's my only gripe. I thought it was a weird sound mix. I might look into that and see if anyone else thinks the same, or it might just be my TV. I don't know. But yeah, next week I'm expecting an extended episode, and yeah, we'll definitely be here talking about it. The finale.
I'm super excited. Just based off of what happened this episode and what's
Yeah.
could happen next episode as far as action and fight sequences coming, with the giant climax, whether, like we've said, whether they end up in a future world type scenario or what, I don't know.
And the bar, luckily for them, has been set pretty low thanks to Game of Thrones. So it can't be worse than that ending. So there you go. And there's gonna be another season. So yeah, yeah. Looking forward to next week. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. So we will see you next week. Thanks for listening. And all right. Bye.
Briefcase, guns, and all.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was super fucking cool.